What's up everyone, Hunter here with Precision Retrofits, and today I'm going to be talking about plastics and painting plastics. So we here at Precision Retrofits, we do a ton of work with paint in general, but we do a lot of work painting plastics. So think of, if you have the mirrors on your truck, usually those are textured plastics. So what I mean by that, I'm going to show you here in a second, but think of your mirrors, maybe some of your side badging, maybe some of your bed steps, that sort of stuff. If you got a truck that has some of that stuff, bumper plastics, we deal a ton with those products and everything that kind of entails. So I want to go through, we get a lot of questions sometimes about painting those pieces and what that looks like and process and the finish and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do today is get into some of the depths of that and what that entails and kind of explain some of our processes as well. So for starters, you may be asking, what does that even mean? What does it mean to paint the plastics on your truck? So I have a couple pieces here to kind of illustrate that, and then you'll see in some of these clips as well, some of that and the process as well. But and a good example right here is, this is a side badge off a new Super Duty. Obviously you can see here it's an F350. We've painted this one for mostly display purposes, so it gives you a good idea as far as what the difference in the look would be. As you can see down here on the bottom portion, this is the original factory textured plastic, and that's what I'm referring to as textured plastics. So you can see, and if you know off of your truck, you're gonna be able to tell that these plastics, they have a texture obviously to them. They're kind of bumpy, they're not smooth like the paint on the rest of your truck. As you can see here on the top, we've taken them and we have smoothed the plastic, and then we have painted over to match. This is I believe this is avalanche color on a new Ford, and we painted it that color. So here you can kind of see the difference in between what the texture looks like right next to the painted piece. And you can also see here on the letters as well, we have the F on here that is painted, and then the 350 that is left the textured plastic. So it gives you a good rough idea as to what that would look like, the difference between the two. So that's what it is. That's the process that we get requests a lot and that we do a lot within. So along the lines of what our process itself looks like, because we get a lot of questions as to what that means, and I'm going to get into the durability of it as well here in a second. But the process itself for us here at Precision Retrofits, what we do, we take this plastic, and usually on the pieces that we can, we're going to go ahead and we're going to disassemble it all the way, or as much as we possibly can, in order to make sure each piece is just its own individual piece, so that we can get as much paint and paint into the different cracks and crevices as we possibly can. So like for this emblem in particular, we would take this chrome piece off, we take all the letters off, and then we'd be left with each piece in its own individual piece. From there, we're going to take that, and that's going to go for mirrors as well. So typically on mirrors, we'll take them all the way apart, each piece separately, and they're going to get prepped and painted separately and then put back together. So from there, we're going to take the pieces, and we'll clean them like we need to with the different cleaning products that we are going to use in order to get them as clean as we need to before we start the actual preparation process. Preparation process, what I mean by that is the sanding. So to start, we go through and we make sure to scuff all these products. We scuff them with proper grit sandpaper and sanding pads before we then go ahead and move on to the next step in the process, which is actually what we call it a high build primer. What we mean by that is it's a special primer that we use. Essentially is a lot thicker than a typical primer. So we're gonna go ahead, we'll take the sanded pieces, sanded parts, and we take them into the painting process. So in the painting process, before we get to the high build primer, we spray what is called an adhesion promoter. So it's going to help that adhesion and the stickiness, for lack of a better word, of that paint to the product itself. So that adhesion promoter that we spray is going to be sprayed before the high build primer. Go ahead, and our painter here, Jared, he's going to go ahead and spray that adhesion promoter, and then from there he's going to spray the next coat of paint in the process, and that is what I'm referring to by the high build primer. So that, like I said, that high build primer is a little bit thicker. It's going to give us the proper amount of thickness so that we can then, after that high build primer, go ahead and smooth the plastics all the way down so that we give them a nice, smooth, clean finish, get rid of that texture. So in that high build primer, he's going to spray a few coats of that, get it thick enough so that we're going to go ahead and then let that primer itself dry. That primer itself dries, cures, does what it needs to. From there, we move into the next step in the process, and that is going to be the sanding process. Now, if you're wondering, some of these processes or parts that get painted, some of them are a little more expensive than others depending on what they are as far as the prices that we may give out on some of them, and that is due to the amount of labor or the process and the time that it takes in order to get them to look like you as a customer are going to want them to look. So the sanding process is the most labor intensive for us here, as it should be, because that is what determines what your paint is going to look like and how good it's going to look once everything is complete and back on your truck. And it also is going to be the determining factor for how much you're actually going to like the product when it's fully installed on your truck. So that sanding process, we're going to take, we finished with the first step, which is the high build primer. We take that and we sand it all the way down. That high build primer gets sanded with a proper grit sandpaper, and we use what's called a guide coat so that we know that we are sanding it down enough and the proper amount so that we can achieve the smoothness that we need in order to then go ahead and spray the base coat. So we take it through the sanding process, we clean it again, and then it's ready for the next step in the process, which is going to be the base coat or the color, whichever color your truck is or whichever color you are going to want it to end up being after it's all completed and said and done. So from there, we're going to move it back into the paint booth and we're going to spray that, whether it's a base coat, whether sometimes we'll use a single stage, just depends on what it is. But that color, so say for example like this one right here, or I have a bed step here, and this one in particular, we went ahead after the sanding process, ready for paint. This is the GM's Pearl White color is what it is. And so from there, Jared took it in the booth, sprayed it. The base coat was the next step in the process. So he went ahead and sprayed the base coat and the mid coat, because this is a tri-stage paint is what we call it. It has 3 steps in the paint process, as you can tell, tri-stage. And then he sprayed the clear coat after that. Then from there, after the clear coat was sprayed, it's time to let it cure. And after it's done curing, however long we need to leave it, it'll then be ready for reassembly or reinstall onto the truck or piece or part, whatever it needs to do itself. So that is the process as far as the painting and what we do in order to get it smooth. It's not really a secret. Everybody really some people may do it a little bit differently than we do. That's how we have found to make it look as best as possible, while also not charging an arm and a leg. It's still a little bit more expensive, but we try to do what we can to still make it somewhat affordable on some of this stuff and not just charge crazy amounts by lessening some of the labor that we need to do while also still maintaining quality and a good solid process and durability within that. Now, speaking on the durability side of things, we do get some questions all the time as far as like how well it's going to hold up and this and that, and how is it going to stick, is it going to whatever it may be. And the answer to those questions is yes. So what I mean by that, it's going to stick as well and as best as the process is going to allow it to. Again, what I mean by that is the process that we've done, and we've done this for years now, is going to give it the best possible chance and I guess the best route the pieces can take in order to have that paint looking and lasting as long as possible. So as far as durability goes, and I'll say this with any painted parts, and you could even know just based off experience or having vehicles before, rock chips will happen. They are kind of inevitable. Even on factory paint, if you go look at a vehicle and look at the front end, whether it's the hood or the factory painted bumper, there will be rock chips some way, shape, or form if the vehicle has been driven any amount of time, either on the freeway, down a gravel road, whatever it might be. Rock chips will happen regardless of kind of the process that has been taken in order to ensure the best possible adhesion. Now, maybe you have the question of, can I polish or refresh the painted surface? Yes. As far as our products and our paint goes, it should act and function just like the factory body color paint on the rest of your vehicle. So you should be able to go ahead and give it a polish or wash it like normal or give it whatever it needs. Obviously, you're not going to want to do any harmful chemicals on it or anything like that. Just be smart with it. And if you just take care of it, give it what it needs, the paint's going to last and function as it should for the length that you need it to. Along those lines as well, some people ask as far as washing it, what kind of care and process should be taken with that. As long as you're not taking a 2000 plus PSI pressure washer and holding it right up to the paint, you're not gonna have an issue washing it just like you normally would wash anything else. Now you may take a little bit more of a precaution on some of it just because it is a piece that really shouldn't sometimes be painted, and we are doing that process in painting it. So you're gonna maybe wanna be a little bit more careful with some of that stuff. But as far as just regularly washing and giving a polish here and there, it shouldn't be an issue, and you should be able to take care of it just like you do the rest of your truck. Now, lastly, and maybe most importantly, next to the durability and the how well it's gonna hold up, is what is it gonna look like once you finish the smoothing, the painting, and the entire process. As long as the process is done as it needs to be and the proper precautions are taken in order to ensure a smooth factory-like finish, the finish on your product should be just as smooth, if not maybe sometimes smoother, than the body paint that is already on your vehicle or truck right now. Again, this is going to come down to how well the process was done as far as the smoothing, the sanding, and the products that were used, and how good of a painter you have or how good of a painter you are. Us here, we do what we can, and we've done thousands and thousands of pieces here. The smoothing and painting process of this and painting these plastics, we are able to get them pretty much, if not better than the smoothness that is on your factory vehicle right now and the factory paint that exists on your vehicle. Yeah, as far as the finish and the texture and the smoothness of paint goes, it should be as smooth, if not better, than your existing paint. So I hope that covers everything from the process, what we do in order to ensure durability and a smooth finish, and how it's going to last and how you can care for it. That should about cover all the questions that we typically get. As far as pricing goes on some of the stuff, it's just going to vary as far as how big the pieces are, how complex it is, what the different angles and stuff are. But if you have any questions as far as pricing or maybe getting something painted, you can either check out our website, precisionretrofits.com. We have a bunch of paint pieces and parts on there that you can look at and see. If we don't see something on our website that is on your vehicle that you want painted, we can take care of that. Give us a shout, email, call, whatever you want to do there. We can pretty much do anything and everything. For the most part, we typically tend to do newer vehicles. It's a little bit easier to mess with some of those pieces and parts, or newer parts that you've ordered that we can do. Or if you want to order new parts from and through us, we can do that as well. But yeah, if you have any questions as far as pricing goes, please reach out to us. We can definitely help you out, take care of any questions you might have. But just figured it'd be a good overview for you on these pieces and how we get them to look like they need to look, and yeah, what to expect if you are planning on ordering or getting something done through us. Again, we kind of cover wide range of vehicles and go anything from just doing a simple set of side badges to doing a complete and utter full paint match on a complete vehicle. If you're looking for something like that, if you're local to us, we're in Southern Idaho. If not, reach out to us. We can still make something work. We'd love to take care of that for you and help you out with what you need. But again, hopefully that covers everything on the smoothing and painting process of these parts and pieces. My name's Hunter, Precision Retrofits. Check us out. If you don't mind, hit that like, subscribe button. Helps us out and helps us produce more of these videos for you. Until then, appreciate you watching. That's the end of the video.